In a stunning behind-the-scenes confrontation, Princess Catherine reportedly refused a direct demand from Queen Camilla, a demand to abandon her quiet efforts to reconnect Prince Harry with King Charles. The meeting, which took place with the king present, ended in visible tension. Aides were left shocked. What followed next wasn't just fallout, it was a reshaping of palace power. Catherine didn't just say no, she drew a line, and the monarchy hasn't moved the same way since. The unthinkable had truly begun. The moment Kate refused Camilla's demand. It happened on a quiet Wednesday afternoon inside Clarence's house, behind closed doors and heavy crimson curtains. The meeting was meant to be procedural, a controlled attempt to settle rising tension. Instead, it became a turning point. According to palace insiders, Queen Camilla made a direct demand. Catherine must abandon her quiet efforts to reconnect Prince Harry with the king. Camilla reportedly called the idea destabilizing, warning, "The firm cannot afford another distraction." Kate's response was immediate and calm. She did not debate or explain at length. She simply said, This is family before duty, and I won't step back from it." The room froze. Even King Charles, seated between them, appeared stunned. A senior aide later described it as a line drawn not in anger, but in stone. For the first time, Kate did not yield, and in doing so, she quietly changed the balance of power in the room. What Kate was defending, a major strategic move. The confrontation wasn't sparked by impulse or emotion. It was rooted in a 4-month effort Catherine had carefully nurtured in private. With Prince Harry's estrangement deepening and the king's health increasingly guarded, Kate had begun exploring a path toward reconciliation, discreetly, patiently, without headlines. No public gestures, no formal outreach, just intermediaries and quiet signals, testing whether healing was still possible. She was doing it for Charles, one insider said, and for William's peace. Camilla saw the effort as dangerous. To her, reopening the past threatened the fragile stability she believed the monarchy had rebuilt. She insisted Kate disengage entirely, arguing it risked the crown's image and authority. Kate refused. Again. She spoke of the long view, of George, Charlotte, and Louis, and what a divided family would teach them. Her stance wasn't sentimental, it was strategic. She wasn't defending a moment, an aide said. She was defending the idea that peace still matters. Camilla's furious reaction to the rejection. Witnesses say the mood shifted instantly. Queen Camilla did not raise her voice, but her words were sharp, controlled, and final. "This is not your place," she reportedly told Catherine. "You are being naive and dangerous." Camilla framed Kate's actions as disloyal, insisting that if King Charles wanted contact with Harry, he would initiate it himself. To her, this was not about family. It was about hierarchy, discipline, and control. What startled those nearby was not anger, but precision. One aide described the moment as control being tested. Camilla's authority had been challenged, openly, and in front of the monarch. Kate did not respond emotionally. She didn't flinch. When the meeting ended, there were no pleasantries. Charles left first. Camilla remained behind. Catherine simply nodded and walked out composed. This stopped being about Harry, a senior aide said later. It became a reckoning between two women with very different visions of the crown. Kate's bold explanation and stand. Later that evening, Catherine addressed her inner circle with clarity and calm. "We are not factions," she reportedly said. "We are family, and if we start treating each other like rivals, we lose everything." Her explanation wasn't defensive. It was deliberate. She spoke of loyalty, not politics, of balance between tradition and emotional truth. She acknowledged the fallout and accepted it. Those present said her tone never wavered. She referenced her years inside the institution, her partnership with William, and the responsibility she carries as the future queen. There was no anger, only resolve. She reminded everyone who she is, a longtime staffer said. Not just the Princess of Wales, but the woman the monarchy is becoming. It was a quiet declaration. Kate had chosen her line and crossed it knowingly. She didn't ask for permission, and she didn't look back. King Charles's role, shocked and caught in the middle. Of everyone in the room, King Charles may have been the most shaken. He had called the meeting hoping for calm, not confrontation. Instead, he found himself seated between two women representing two futures for the monarchy. According to insiders, Charles spoke little. He listened, and when Kate refused Camilla's demand, his reaction was visible. Surprise, then silence. He had known of Catherine's outreach efforts only in passing. He had not grasped Camilla's resistance or the depth of Kate's conviction. Privately, Charles was torn. Camilla was his wife and longtime supporter. Catherine was the future queen and mother of the heir. He did not intervene, but he also did not side decisively with Camilla. "He said nothing," one aide recalled, and that silence mattered. That evening, Charles reportedly walked alone through the gardens of Clarence House, thoughtful, subdued, because in the quiet conflict unfolding beneath his crown, he was no longer the mediator. He had become the prize both sides were fighting to define. The palace staff's side. Tension behind closed doors. Inside the royal residences, tension spread like frost. The words, "She said no," echoed quietly, but unmistakably. Kate's refusal wasn't just overheard, it was felt. Aides treaded lightly, unsure where their loyalties should visibly lie. One senior equerry called it a moment that changed everything. The palace machine, normally seamless, began to stutter. Some staff praised Catherine's strength, calling her the protector of the monarchy's soul. Others, loyal to tradition, feared her defiance had set a dangerous precedent. Even logistics teams adjusted schedules to keep Kate and Camilla apart. Joint engagements were quietly reviewed, then shelved. "It's not the disagreement," one insider admitted. "It's the silence afterward, the way people look around before they speak." No formal sides were drawn, but alliances formed in quiet corners. The once carefully choreographed institution had become a chessboard, and every move, from now on, would carry longer-term consequences than ever before. Camilla's camp pushes back, quiet but strategic. By Friday, Camilla's inner circle launched their counteroffensive, not with press conferences, but strategic whispers. Trusted reporters were briefed off the record, framing Kate's refusal as well-meaning but institutionally naive. Carefully placed narratives described Camilla as the stabilizing force upholding tradition, while Catherine's empathy was painted as emotional overreach. Camilla's public appearances were recalibrated to project unity. Speeches were edited to emphasize harmony, and her next outfit featured green, symbolizing peace. But internally, her team pushed a narrative. Kate was stepping outside her role. Royal commentators began to echo the framing. Was modern compassion clouding judgment? Was Kate disrupting royal cohesion? Kensington aides, however, saw the effort clearly, as damage control, not reconciliation. "They're not fixing it," one aide said. "They're trying to rewrite it." Despite the spin, one fact remained. Kate hadn't backed down, and Camilla hadn't managed to contain her. And that reality was shaping the palace's internal future more than any headline could. The fallout: Kate's refusal reshapes palace politics. By Sunday, the refusal had become the term whispered through palace corridors. It wasn't just a disagreement, it was a shift in royal politics. Meetings between Clarence House and Kensington Palace were quietly cancelled or restructured. Protocol became clouded by tension. The monarchy's season of collaboration had fractured. Senior royals, believed to include Princess Anne and Prince Edward, requested private audiences with the king. Their concern wasn't drama, but damage control. Staff who once prioritized discretion now chose their words and loyalties with fresh caution. To younger aides, Kate's refusal was refreshing, leadership rooted in principle. She said, "Not this way, not anymore," one said. But traditionalists worried boldness might divide more than inspire. The media mirrored this tension with headlines split between admiration and anxiety. Through it all, William stood by Catherine, his quiet presence a statement in itself. The monarchy didn't fracture, but something inside it irrevocably changed. The future now had a voice. The public narrative begins to shift. By Monday morning, headlines and hashtags overtook palace silence. Deepening divide inside the palace ran across tabloids, while hashtag Kate Stands Tall trended across social platforms. Footage of past Kate Camilla appearances were reanalyzed for tension. Missing eye contact, closed expressions, brief waves. Insiders claimed Catherine had withdrawn from 2 events beside Camilla. Kensington cited health, but Clarence House stayed silent, fueling more speculation. Public support surged for Kate. A YouGov poll showed a 14% spike in approval for the Princess of Wales, especially among younger voters. Commentators praised her restraint, calling her Elizabethan in calculation. The parallels to Princess Diana surfaced again. Grace under pressure, silent resistance. Royal analysts warned, this wasn't just personal, it was ideological. Control versus compassion. Image versus sincerity. "The monarchy's not crumbling," said one BBC guest, "but it is realigning." And for the first time, the public wasn't asking what happened. They were asking what comes next, and who leads it. What happened next was unthinkable, the aftermath. Behind palace walls, what followed was unthinkable. Camilla reportedly attempted to restructure ceremonial roles tied to Catherine, positions of visibility and tradition. It was seen as a power move, but instead of isolating Kate, it rallied others to her. Princess Anne, Sophie, and Prince Edward quietly voiced support through appearances, private visits, and coordinated schedules. A silent chorus was forming around Kate, sources said. King Charles, unsettled by the direction things had taken, stepped in to mediate. Though no orders were given, his message was clear. The crown could not afford a Cold War within its ranks. No photos were released, no statements made. But a shift had occurred. The palace recognized what had just happened. Kate said no, and the institution moved with her. It wasn't rebellion, it was a realignment. The monarchy, still standing, had been reshaped, not by confrontation, but by quiet, unwavering conviction. And now all eyes were watching who would move next. Kate's quiet refusal marked more than a disagreement. It became a catalyst. In just days, the internal tone of the palace shifted. What was once tightly choreographed unity fractured into strategic silences, cancelled meetings, and cautious glances between aides. While Camilla's camp tried to regain control of the narrative, Catherine's influence only grew, both among staff and the public. Her decision wasn't loud, but it was decisive. And for many inside the firm, it was the moment she truly stepped into her future role, not just as a consort, but as a moral compass. The monarchy has endured scandal before, but rarely has it seen its course altered by one woman's quiet conviction. What happened next wasn't a collapse, it was a realignment. And the line Catherine drew now stands as a turning point the palace won't soon forget. In refusing to back down, she may have reshaped the crown's future.